Hi students, just giving you a brief tutorial here on the grading a sample paper assignment. So basically we're just going to go through the rubric. This should help you do what should be a pretty straightforward assignment, but it'll also give you a sense of how I read this rubric as well. And of course this is the rubric that I'm going to use to grade your papers. So you're going to want to read each paper through, and then when you come to the end of the paper, you're going to use the highlighting tool here. That's what I would recommend anyway, to highlight the sections of the rubric with the correct score. And so you can see that each score has each category has two potential scores. So what I always do is I highlight the section that I think corresponds to the quality of the paper. So you think this paper was really good, it was submitted on time, its format was correct, and then I put a parentheses and then I write 10. And so this is exactly how your rubrics should look when you get them back from me. This is how you're going to want to format grading the rubric for this assignment. For this assignment, you should assume, by and large, that the paper was submitted on time. We're not really practicing evaluating that here. As far as presentation is concerned, you're going to want to read through the paper. You're going to want to see if the language is clear. You can understand what the author's saying. Is it clumsy? Is it unclear? Is it awkward? Are there a lot of typos? That means you're going to grade it down on this scale. Does it have footnotes? You'd be amazed how often students turn in papers without any citations or without footnotes. In this class, you must use footnotes for your citations. Are the facts presented in the paper accurate? Here, just do the best that you can. You're just starting out on this material. This is something new. Just have a look at it and see what jumps out at you. If you see something that's obviously wrong, then you should ding the paper for that. The thesis. Where should you find the thesis? Probably towards the end of the first paragraph. Actually, there's no probably. You should find the thesis at the end of the first paragraph. It should be very clear. It should be connecting the source to a broader context and at the same time explaining the source. So it's quite a complex part of the paper. And so that's an area that you're going to want to focus on when you're grading these papers. The background, the context section that comes after the thesis statement. How detailed is this? Has the paper already talked about the author in the first paragraph, which they should have done as a way of introducing the text? This text is by this particular author. It's this type of text. It roughly covers these sorts of events. Then you should get the thesis. And then after the thesis in the next paragraphs, you should find explanations of what's going on at the time, events that are taking place that would have influenced the creation of this source, or that we can use this source to understand better. Analysis. What are the themes from the source that the paper draws out? So you don't just want to narrate the source through. This is kind of a reference for your own papers. You don't want to see that the author has narrated the source just through from the beginning and summarized at the end. You want to see that they've pulled out particular aspects of human interaction, of human society, concern, that they've pulled out consistently through the paper in different contexts. And you want to see that it's clear. Generally, we want 2 or 3 clear and outstanding themes. Sometimes students have a problem where they just kind of mush this section together. We want to be very clear, and this speaks to, if we jump down one, this speaks to evidence. We want to be clear about how the evidence from the source is being used. That especially in this analysis section, that the author is repeatedly using quotes from the source or is citing the source to support what they're saying. If they're telling you about the themes of the source, they should be able to show you somewhere from the source that supports what they're saying, that the source really is arguing this. Organization. All the paragraphs in the paper are part of a cohesive whole. They're all linked together as one, not just as little sections. I mean, they are separate sections, of course, but at the same time, it needs to be one paper, and they all need to be there. Something about the author, a thesis statement, background information, analysis, themes. And then finally, significance section. What's the significance of this paper? What does this paper tell you about the events that were going on in World War I, World War II, Communist Revolution? What does it tell you about that you wouldn't know? What insights does it give you that you wouldn't know just from reading a textbook? So this should be linked to the thesis statement. And then originality. Is the paper just kind of a boilerplate? World War I was a terrible event, which we kind of already know, or does it try and make an interesting argument about these events? So I hope this gives you a guideline both to the structure of your own papers when you come to write them, and to the way that I'm going to approach the rubric, and in turn, that'll help you fill out the rubric for this assignment. All the best, and let me know if you need any help.